Hey everyone, Leader Dorset Spur, back with another video. This time I'm actually travelling at the moment in the car. It's been a while since I've done a video in the car, to be fair. But I thought to myself, you know what, you're travelling, you can chat while you're going, get these thoughts out of your mind. Because of course, this weekend is the North London Derby. The one game we're always waiting for. We can't wait for it, and this is it. It's come around too soon though, really. It's come around too soon, because normally we're talking about form, aren't we? What's the form like? Because you can't always go on form to decide who's going to win, who's not going to win, because it goes out the window. It's a derby. It's the biggest game of the year for both sets of fans. This is the one we all want to be at. This is the one that we all want to see our team win. And so it's going to be really difficult, because it's so early in the season to know exactly what's what. And are you going to upset the apple cart, or are they going to upset the apple cart, whatever. Now we know so far we've had a win, a loss and a draw. So you can't really say, well, you know, what's our form like? It's not particularly good. And I guess you could probably go back and take it from like the end of the season maybe. But of course, if you do that, then you're ignoring all the pre-season. So do they count in terms of form? So it's a bit of a difficult one to really kind of formulate any kind of ideas. But anyway, form goes out the window, as I just said. Form goes out the window on a derby day, because I don't think, like, I know there are massive derbies out there, right? I know there are massive derbies out there, and I've said this so many times before. Aston Villa versus Birmingham, big derby, big derby. Obviously Rangers Celtic, massive derby, but obviously that's in Scotland, and there's the only two teams really up there. When you come down to England, in terms of derbies, like I said, Birmingham, Aston Villa, I would say that's a big derby, big derby. But then you've also got things like Southampton, Portsmouth. Now, that is another really big derby, I can tell you. Living on the south coast, I can tell you, I was talking to my friend today about it. I was actually at a Jake Bugg concert some years ago, and there was Portsmouth and Southampton fans in the venue watching Jake Bugg, who literally just stands there with a guitar, and they were fighting. So don't tell me there is no issue between them two cities, because I know they are. It's a massive derby. And but then you kind of look around, you know, I know Cardiff and Bristol, they hate each other. Cardiff and Swansea hate each other. You know, West Ham and Millwall, but I mean, how often do they play each other? That sort of thing. So in terms of real derbies, how many are there actually out there that have that real hatred? Let's be honest, hatred. I mean, I can't explain how much I hate Arsenal. Like, as a club, like their fans, their attitude, like I just hate them. And I've got no problem with the fact that they all hate me. Right? I've got no problem with that. And for full disclosure, I do have some friends who are Arsenal fans. But what we tend to do is not talk about football. So we never talk about football, because that way you can keep a semblance of sanity and not have to hate that person. Because I'm sure they will want to feel the same about us. This is a two-way street, right? They hate us with a passion as much as we hate them with a passion. And if you don't hate them with a passion, I don't know I don't know where you are in all of that. Like, for me, they are just, like, the idea of them is just enough. And I think, you know, and again, for a bit more disclosure, I do actually have family members that are Arsenal fans, because where I grew up in London, a lot of my family are from Oxton and from Islington and places like that. So typically they became Arsenal fans in that area. But again, we don't really talk about football. We kind of stay away from that, because obviously I don't want to hate family members just because of the football team they support. There is a few I don't care about, but don't tell them. Anyway, I'm digressing and I'm rambling, like I always do. But yeah, big game this weekend. I'm gonna be there. I'm at the game. So if you're in the Gilpin, I'll be in the Gilpin probably sort of 10:30ish for a bit of breakfast. If you're in LT's, and you know where LT's is, which is across the road from the Gilpin, I'll probably be in there for a little bit, me and my boy, with the South Dorset Spurs guys. So we'll have a couple of drinks in there. I'll be with Sweary Alex. So if you've watched or listened to the Shooting the Shit podcast that we've been doing, Alex and Mason and Dean will all be in there, I suspect. So we'll have a bit of a meet up, and then in the game I'll be in the South Stand. So happy to say hello to anyone who kind of listens or whatever, watches. It'd be good to meet you all. But yeah, I'll be there, buzzing for it, absolutely buzzing for it. But at the same time, absolutely shitting a brick, because this is Arsenal and they've beat us at home the last 2 seasons. And I don't want to have to go through that again, because it's just unbearable. Losing to them is unbearable, because the sheer arrogance of Arsenal fans, it just kills me. Like having to listen to them gloating and all that, and about how good they are and all the rest of it. But if we do beat them, then of course they're never going to give you any kudos. They're never going to go, to be fair, they were the better team. They did well on the day, blah blah blah. No, of course they won't. Of course they won't. It'll all be, Odegaard or Declan Rice or fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, whatever it might be. There'll always be an excuse. Always be an excuse. They never give you any kind of credit at all. Now I like to think myself as a bit of a level-headed, try to be very positive about things, and in the times when they've beat us, I've said, yeah, fair enough, they were better on the day, they wanted it more, or whatever I felt on the day, because sometimes I see that, right? Sometimes you're watching, you think, they just want it more. They want it more than we do. They're more clued up, they're more ready for it, whatever it might be, whichever team. I'm not just talking about Arsenal. So I do try to give other teams credit. Maybe I don't do it that well, but I do try. But yeah, I am looking forward to it, but I am shitting a brick at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes, to see what we kind of put out. There's feels like a growing issue with Ange Postecoglou with some fans. Certainly if you listen to Twitter, that'll tell you all you need to know. But of course Twitter isn't real life. I did a poll on our WhatsApp group for South Dorset Spurs, and there's 139 people in the WhatsApp group, and I had 51 responses in my little poll, and so probably 40%-ish of the overall group, maybe a little less than that. But out of all of those that were interested enough to vote, we had 40. Let me try and remember. 48, I think, responses. Just trying to remember now. But listen, it doesn't matter. The numbers itself doesn't really matter. Apart from the fact that there was two people that said they're losing patience. Everybody else, and it was around 49, I think, said Ange in. So I gave the options: Ange in, Ange out, losing patience. And 2 people said that they're losing patience, which is fair enough, right? It's their opinion, they're entitled to it. But I thought what was interesting was that the overwhelming majority, 98% of those that bothered to place a vote, we're still Anging out of our little group of 130 odd people. So that kind of shows you really that if you take that as a straw poll, you kind of think, well, the majority of people that I know are still supportive of Ange and still believe that he's the right man for the job. I personally am an Anging person. I get all the issues that come with supporting Ange Postecoglou. You know, I'm not happy with our defensive frailties. I'm not happy with the fact that he doesn't feel like he can alter things at all, which I think is a bit naive to kind of do that. You've got to have other things in your back pocket, right? If you're running down the clock and it's getting close and you're 1-0 up, why would you throw everything, you know, to get that second and leave yourself so exposed? Surely you have a little bit of a backup plan, aka Newcastle. But I do enjoy the swashbuckling, attack-minded, outscore the opposition attitude. That's what I want to see. I want to see us dominating the game, dominating the other team, creating chances, but ultimately putting them chances away. And we haven't had that opportunity yet, right? Dominic Solanke's played one game, very first game, finding his feet, first game of the season, didn't hit the ground running, but ultimately, at least we've got a focal point, at least we've got a striker, someone who can put the ball in the back of the net, but can also bring other players into it. If he can gel with the team, if he can be the best player that he is, because if he can score 20 goals for Bournemouth with the chances they create, surely he's got to score 20 goals for Tottenham with the amount of chances we could create, given our attacking intent. So, like, for me, I think we've got the ingredients there. I just feel like we need that little bit of defensive nous to try to make sure if we're not gonna win, that we don't lose. To make sure that we dominate enough to create that chance, but we keep ourselves a little bit secure at the back, especially when you've not got Mickey van der Ven, who feels like one of the most important players in the squad. You know, and should he be? You know, he's a young lad. Because I didn't particularly think that Radu Dragusin played particularly badly against Newcastle, for instance. But he's not Mickey van der Ven. He wasn't quick enough, or whatever. But then I don't blame him overall, because I think there's other issues around that. So I know I'm digressing into the Newcastle thing, and I know I've already talked about Newcastle. But for me, you know, I understand why people have an issue and are losing a little bit of patience with Ange. But at the same time, you've got to give it time. You can't keep flip-flopping with a manager, or, you know, every other season. We've been there, we've done that, we've been doing that, and it's cost us, you know, no end of aggro. Like, I didn't enjoy the football under Conte, I didn't enjoy the football under Mourinho, you know, I didn't even enjoy the football under Pochettino towards the end, because it just wasn't working. When people say, I've seen a quote about people going, if Pochettino had been backed like Ange has been backed, you know, we would have still had Poch at the team now, and blah blah blah, we'd have had success and all the rest of it. That's all theoretical, right? Because I've also seen Kyle Walker saying that Pochettino wanted to move to Kieran Trippier. Oh, what? What? You wanted to play Kieran Trippier more than Kyle Walker? But people are saying we should have, you know, that Poch was the best thing since sliced bread. For me, like, I don't get that. For me, Kyle Walker 100% over Kieran Trippier every day, twice on a Sunday. There's just no comprehension to me. And he's gone on to win so many trophies at Man City, which kind of just proves the point, right? he still maintains his England position. Kieran Trippier ends up having to play left back and has now had to retire from international football. So, you know, what does that kind of tell you, really? So, it's all ifs and buts and maybes, and it's all about opinions. But like I say, this is about Arsenal at the weekend and how I feel about it and all that. Now, it's anybody's guess. Like I said, so early in the season, how do you know what's going to happen? Arsenal have got some injuries. Hopefully that plays in our favour. They've also got Declan Rice out because he's suspended. And we've been there, right? We had last season, we had more injuries and suspensions and all that than any other team. We also had the Africa Cup of Nations that impacted us. We had the Asia Cup, which impacted us. You know, and after all of that, when we eventually got everyone back, it just didn't gel well enough for us to sort of really achieve what we felt we should have achieved. But we still came fifth, we still got into Europe, we still improved on the previous season, and now we've got Europa. And I've booked my tickets to go to Budapest. Just need a ticket to get in the game. So if anyone knows when the tickets go on sale, if you can hook me up, I'm after two, me and a boy, but we'll be in Budapest. Anyway, like I say, it's anybody's guess. We've been there with all of that. They've got these players out, so that should work in our favour. Fingers crossed. But, like I also said, sometimes the team that wants it the most wins it. And they can go into that game thinking to themselves, we've got nothing to lose. We've got players out and all the rest of it. We've got our excuses already. There you go. But what they could also be thinking is, we've got our backs against the walls, lads. They think they've got it in the bag. We can show them that actually it's not just about those couple of players. It's about the squad. It's about the team. It could really motivate. It'd be its own motivation. It's its own motivation. It was like when Chelsea played Tottenham under Mourinho. Their team talk literally needed to be, it's Jose Mourinho, our ex-manager there. We need to show him, you know, and that can be enough. That can be enough to really give you enough to win the game, especially if the other team are just not up to it. So our boys need to be up to it. They need to be on it. They need to want it. They need to want to win the game, but they need to want it in the right way. Because you know what's going to happen. They're going to be winding up. Ben White is going to be trying to kick people, trick people, aggravate people and all the rest of it to try to get an advantage because he's a dirty rat. You've got to keep your head. You've got to make sure you don't get sucked into that. Because how many times have we seen players sent off? I mean, I think back to the Rob Holding one where actually Rob Holding got sent off, but equally Sonny could have got sent off himself. So you've got to be mindful of that. You've got to be careful not to play into those dark arts, those stupid things, you know. But listen, ultimately, I think it's going to be a very entertaining game. I think we are going to be up for it. I think there'll be a fair few goals in it, maybe. So I'm expecting it to end up something like a 3-2, and of course I'm expecting it to be 3-2 in our favour. And if that's the case, I'll be over the moon. I'll be over the moon. I'll be dancing down the high street. I'll be in the concourses watching the rabbi whip his shirt off, waving his walking stick and leading the singing. I'll be there. I'll definitely be there. And if that happens, I'll be videoing it for you to see if you're not able to get to the games. So yeah, I'll absolutely love it. Absolutely love it if that happens. To coin a phrase from a very famous Geordie, I'd love it if we beat them. Love it. Anyway, the only thing that would top it, if I'm being honest, I've got to be honest, because I do hate them. The only thing that's really going to top it for me, if we beat them 3-2, or whatever we beat them by, if we beat them, which I'm hoping we will, the only thing that will top it is if someone slide tackles Mikel Arteta, knocks him flying in the air to land on his head, right? And then him get up and start complaining, and then the linesman go, should have been in your box, mate. If you'd been in your box, that wouldn't have happened. Because he does like to wander. I think we should call him I think we should literally, being an Australian in there, maybe you should say to him, mate, are you going walkabout? Because he does walk about all over the place. But that would be the topping, the icing on the top of the cake for me. Slide tackle on Arteta, flying through the air, double somersault, landing on his head, being able to get up and complain, oh, look what's happened to me, ah! That's Italian, that's not Spanish. But anyway, look what's happened, and they do. And then a linesman coming over and say, should have been in your box, mate. Get in your box. What would have happened if you was in your box? And us being able to read those lips on the TV. That would make me laugh. I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it. Anyway, I'm waffling on. I'm talking shit. I'm on the road, so what do you expect from me? But yeah, listen. I'll see you at the game if you're at the game. I'm hoping that the atmosphere is going to be rocking. I'm hoping that it's going to be toxic for them and make them feel absolutely petrified to come to the lane again. And we come away with a nice win. I'll be back after the game, probably Monday, doing a review of the game, and then on Tuesday night I'll be recording with the Shooting the Shit boys to put that out on Wednesday. We didn't do one this week because we didn't have any match to review, but yeah, hopefully you can support that as well. It'd be really good to see a few people watching that, asking us questions and so on, so we can start building up and make that a little bit more professional, a little bit more organised. But anyway, as ever, thanks for watching. If you've got this far, 21 minutes in, thanks for watching. I appreciate the support. I appreciate all the comments, the likes and all the rest of it. I do read them all. I do try to respond where I can, and as ever, up the Spurs. Keep the faith, people.